Good afternoon. Welcome to the COVID-19 update on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. Here are some of the highlights this hour. House of Representatives Committee on Healthcare Services holds public hearing on bill to repeal the Quarantine Act. Nigeria records more cases of COVID-19 with the highest single-day infections recorded in 24 hours. A number of cases in India's Mumbai overtakes Wuhan by 51,000 as authorities in Delhi warn that cases there could reach 500,000. Nigeria has recorded its highest COVID-19 infections in a single day, with the announcement of 663 cases yesterday by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC), bringing the total number of cases in the country to 13,464, with 4,206 discharged and 365 deaths. Of the new infections recorded in 25 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Lagos has 170 cases, while neighboring Ogun displaces other states to record the second highest figure, and that is 108 cases. Bauchi has 69 of those cases, Ebonyi 49, Edo 33, Rivers 30, the FCT and Jigawa 26 each, Delta 20, Anambra 17, 16 each in Gombe and Kano, Imo 15, Abia 14, 11 each in Borno and Oyo, Plateau 8, Kebbi and Kaduna 6 each, Ondo 4, Niger and Katsina 2 each, 1 each in Osun, Ekiti, Kwara and Nasarawa states. A breakdown by region shows Lagos in the southwest with a total of 6,065 cases, followed by Kano in the northwest now with 1,020 cases. The FCT tops in the north central with 1,012 cases, while Edo leads in the south-south with 462 cases. Borno retains its 367 cases, but comes top in the northeast, while Ebonyi still leads in the southeast with 152 cases. And now the much talked about public hearing on the Infectious Diseases Bill kicked off earlier in earnest in the nation's capital, Abuja. At the hearing, members of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, his counterpart heading the Northern Governors Forum, some senators, House of Representative members, lawmakers behind the bill, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders were present. Taking off, the chairman of the House of Representatives Healthcare Services called on all to play a key role in the actualization of the bill, saying it is in the interest of the nation.
This is to meet up with the desire of general public to make input in this very important bill that has the capacity to transform our national response infectious diseases that are of public health importance, presenting as epidemic or pandemic manner, as exemplified by coronavirus pandemic spread. We have so far received over 130 memorandum from government ministry, agencies, religious groups, traditional institutions, civil society groups, human rights groups, academia, and general public. I want to assure you that your contribution matters a lot to our legislative activities, to the legislative activities of the committee and the entire National Assembly. Be also rest assured that our conduct during the process will be fair, transparent, accountable, using good legislative conduct and in the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians.
What we are sitting here for today, we need to answer 3 questions. One, is there a need for the law? And I think in my own candid opinion, yes. Because the Quarantine Act of 1926 is definitely outdated. And what was happening then is not what we have now. So definitely there's a need. And the need was also shown by the experiences we are having with the COVID-19 pandemic. We've had challenges, even despite the fact that there has been a lot of management. You can see there has been inter-government conflicts between federal states. You can see some states not going in line with a national directive, whereas we have a national emergency. You can see some individuals challenging the authority of institutions that are there to protect life of citizens. Where an individual said, you don't have power to keep me in an isolation center, I need to get a WHO or to get a UN to come and test me because the person is at risk. So this shows that we definitely need a law. What kind of law do we need? That's the other question. So definitely any law that we make will be within the confines of our constitution, which will be able to safeguard not only the rights of citizens, but the right, in terms of what their right is. But as they often said, where your right ends, the others begin. The overall right is the protection of life of the citizens or anybody that is resident within the confines of Nigeria.
Lawmakers there on what has been called a controversial infectious diseases bill. Well, let's take you now to Yobe State, where private sector-led coalition against COVID-19, CACOVID, they renovated a Damaturu 3-star hotel into 100-bed isolation center, also donating medical consumables to the Yobe State government. Governor Mai Mala Buni, who received and commissioned the center, thanked them, promising that the items supplied will support the state to fully manage COVID-19 cases.
We really appreciate CACOVID, which is a program that is anchored by Access Bank, First Bank, as well as the Dangote Foundation. They have actually came in at a time that the state actually needed their support, and that goes to show true partnership. The items that have been supplied are actually items that have positioned the state to fully manage a case of COVID-19. The government of His Excellency has always provided an enabling environment to any partner that will come in to support the state. His Excellency, his desire is to ensure that the health and well-being of the people of the state are protected at all times.
The Cross River State government has started a mass production of personal protective equipment for trials of schools resumption in the state. Speaking at the Cross River State Garment Factory, the state governor, Professor Ben Ayade, said the essence is to protect students who have stayed out of studies since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic.
This face shield will be the first and major shield production here in Nigeria. And I think that the federal government will be excited to encourage the resumption of school. Obviously, the coronavirus has come to stay with us. And the reality is that experientially, countries that have tried to resume school have had to contend with increased prevalence of the virus. So obviously, how long are we going to wait as a country? So perhaps we have to adopt a new lifestyle that will integrate coronavirus as part of our lifestyle. And so for Cross River State, we have a strong commitment that young children cannot continue to stay at home. The more they stay, the more the moral decadence, the more the indiscipline, the more they become very lazy to get back to school and get started. At every stage in life, there's a time where you have to be in class.
Over in Kwara, 18 COVID-19 patients have been discharged following their full recovery. This is coming as the state government announced the second death from the disease since the outbreak of the pandemic in the state. The patient was a 50-year-old female with serious underlying medical conditions, according to the Kwara State Technical Committee on COVID-19, which explained that she died despite the efforts of medical personnel. So far, 143 cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Kwara State, 78 still on admission, 63 discharged, and 2 deaths recorded. Dr. Runkolo is a clinical pharmacist and public health expert, and she joins us on the program. Glad you could join us today.
Thank you very much.
All right. First, we'd like to ask if you're happy that the public hearing is taking place on what has been called the controversial infectious diseases bill.
Yes, I'm very happy that a public hearing is taking place. It's an avenue for every stakeholders to contribute their own thinking so that we can come out with something that is robust and will work for our community and Nigeria.
Did you have any problems with some parts of the bill? And do you think that there needs to be a balance between this public health or public health emergency and human rights?
Yes, there must be a balance. In as much as we are looking at the public good, we must also consider people's human rights. It must not be abused. So anything that will protect the whole community is welcome. At the same time, you must not trash human rights as well.
Let's look at the case management strategy to COVID-19. We've been told that a negative COVID-19 test is no longer required to discharge a COVID-19 patient. Explain to us what that means. When what we know we used to hear was that someone turns negative twice and the person is being discharged.
Well, as we all know, COVID-19 is a novel infection, and the researches are ongoing every day all over the world. So recent research shows that 10 days post-infection, the virus is not able to infect somebody else. That is, you are not able to infect or pass on the infection to somebody else. So 10 to 14 days after infection, without any negative testing done or any test done, we can say that you are clear and you are not able to transmit to your neighbors and your family. You're safe to be with your family.
But how reliable is that data?
Well, all researches has shown that even when it was cultured in cell culture, PCR, it was not able to infect people. So I think it's quite reliable, though we might still need to do more work on that, which means every patient that is discharged, there might still be a need to follow them up and see how safe that is.
So when Lagos talked about it, they also mentioned the home care strategy, which they'll be using. And some people call this good news because of the availability, limited spaces of bed available and treatment center. So looking at home care, how can that work for Lagos in this case?
Wow, Lagos is the epicenter for COVID-19. And the truth of the matter is that the treatment centers have been overwhelmed. So the earlier we commence the home care, the better for us. However, there's a need for caution. And that is the fact that we can only manage patients that are asymptomatic and or showing mild symptoms at home. And there's also need to follow up properly them. Like it was mentioned during the hearing that NCDC has limited human resources. This is a time for us to step in as community pharmacies, as primary health centers, to monitor such patients. So what I expect is that for every patient that is going to be managed from home, they should be attached to a health facility, primary, secondary, that is close to them. There are also health practitioners, community pharmacies that will be that will follow up this patient on a daily basis, check their temperature, check their oxygen saturations, check their general well-being, their mental health, and communicate to a desk office at the NCDC or Lagos State NCDC Center so that they can properly monitor those patients. Also, the environment is very important because they need to really sanitize the environment. So there's a need to really work hand in hand with the primary health centers. They have the environmentalists, we have the nurses, we have the extension health workers. These people should be put in places to help out.
So it's a lot of healthcare, frontline workers involved. Do we have that manpower, and how do you think they're doing so far in the fight?
Yes, at the tertiary level, I think we are trying our best, but we are getting overwhelmed. That is the need. There is a need for us now to step down to the primary health care level to help and monitor this patient. We have people that are trained, and I know there have been about 200 people, health workers that are trained at that primary level. They are going to step down the trainings to the local government, and because these people are closer to the community, they might be able to do a fantastic job of that.
All right, we'd like to appreciate your time. Dr. Ronke Lowe, clinical pharmacist, public health expert. Thank you for joining us on the program.
You're welcome.
We have more on the COVID-19 updates when we return. 24 personnel of the Nigerian Army newly transferred to Bauchi State and 9 prisoners are among the 69 new cases of COVID-19 in the state, the highest daily number since the outbreak in the state. The executive chairman of the state's primary healthcare development agency, Dr. Rilwan Mohammed, confirmed the new figures to Channels Television. In the meantime, the state has since lifted the lockdown restrictions 2 weeks ago.
The soldiers, they are coming for posting the Bauchi State. Most of them are coming from Calabar. The soldiers are also coming from Boni Island. Then they are also coming from Zuru, Kebbi State, to Bauchi State on transfer. And the rule is that they will not allow any visitors coming until we have a holding room in all the barracks and in the prison, where we isolated all of them. The day before yesterday, we have about 9 of them, soldiers. Yesterday alone, we have about 24. We will have another 25 yesterday alone. The soldier, out of 36 that we took the day before yesterday, 25, we added one more when the pending. 25 out of them are positive.
Now, amid the COVID-19 pandemic response, the Kano State Governor has directed healthcare workers in both primary and secondary health facilities across the 5 emirates in the state to work on full capacity to contain the pandemic. Governor Abdullahi Ganduje gave the directive at Ngogo local government area, where he explained that while front health workers would be busy containing COVID-19, the primary and secondary health workers should man the primary and secondary facilities. He says this is so that they can effectively handle all the cases at the development level stages. Let's now look at the role of physiotherapy in managing COVID-19 cases, and we have Dr. Happiness Aweto, a cardiopulmonary physiotherapist and senior lecturer, Department of Physiotherapy, College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So what is the effect of physiotherapy in COVID-19?
Physiotherapy has a lot of role in the management of patients with COVID-19. We start early in management and then run through the acute stage of the disease, then even post-acute stage. What we advocate early management is that physiotherapy helps to reduce the progression of the disease severity, moving from maybe moderate to severe stage, because we handle cases, the respiratory symptoms and clinical symptoms that the patient have. Now, our aim of management of this patient is to improve ventilation and then to clear secretions in about 34% of the patients that have excessive secretion in their respiratory system. Okay, we also reduce pain. We aim at improving the muscle strength to reduce fatigue. We improve the lung function. Okay, and then help the patient to, get back to normal as soon as possible. Now, there are things we do for this patient. We do breathing exercises. With that, we help to manipulate the breathing, because this patient come in with breathlessness.
Okay.
Okay, so these breathing exercises help the patient to be in control of their breathing, to breathe in normally.
And this doesn't apply to asymptomatic cases?
No, it doesn't apply to people that are already down with the symptom. Okay, and after that, we hope, or when we modulate this, the patient gains control of his breathing and there's more ventilation going in. Now, for patients that have a lot of secretion in their respiratory system, we help to clear away the secretions there using some techniques. We use percussion. We use we teach coughing techniques. Teaching the patient how to cough well, and then huffing techniques. We also use things like pulmonary postural drainage. Placing the patient in positions that gravity can help to assist in bringing out the mucus even to the central portion, where the patient can now cough it out or huff it out. Or if the patient can't cough or huff, we use suction to suction out the secretion. By so doing, we clear the respiratory system so that more air can get in there, because that's what the patients are lacking. Another thing we do is heat therapy. Okay, heat therapy, we use it to alleviate pain. Okay, these patients some of them have pains. Okay, so the musculoskeletal pain, we use things like hot packs, infrared to treat the pain, and the patient feels better. Now, there's another thing we do, or we encourage for respiratory patients, breathing in hot water vapor. Okay, this the patient can do at home, more so this period that they are considering
as a non-pharmaceutical intervention.
Yes, the patient staying at home.
Okay.
Patient can
Home
do it
care.
by
Okay.
home care. Patient can do it by themselves. Boil hot water in a bowl, and then sit over the bowl, and then cover the head with towel, and then inhale the vapor for 15 minutes. What it does is that it goes to soften the mucus secretion, and then helps to bring it out.
And it also helps with the common cold.
Yes, it's more like an age-long therapy. We always know. Okay, and one thing again that is good, that this particular therapy is good for, is that this virus doesn't thrive well in hot and humid environment. So with that, the heat will help to check the spread.
Okay, we'd like to thank you, Dr. Happiness Aweto, cardiopulmonary physiotherapist, senior lecturer, Department of Physiotherapy, College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much.
India's financial capital, Mumbai, has recorded 51,000 cases of COVID. This is taking it past the peak in Wuhan, where the virus first emerged. The news comes amid a surge of infections in India, which has over 200,000 confirmed cases. We understand that the surge coincides with India's decision to relax restrictions after 3 months of a stringent lockdown that was intended to curb the virus. Some businesses in Moscow are now allowed to reopen as residents are able to move freely. And we understand that in Malaysia, they've also eased restrictions, but the government says international borders remain closed.
Moscow has begun easing coronavirus-related restrictions, beginning with the ending of self-isolation. Once again, residents are free to go outdoors, and public places are seeing a significant increase of traffic and people. Moscow is enforcing rules like wearing face masks in malls or closed public areas to protect residents. Hand sanitizers and social distancing signs are also placed in almost every corner of shopping malls. Malaysia has also resumed nearly all economic activity and allowed interstate travel as coronavirus restrictions imposed nearly 3 months ago were eased further to revive an economy battered by the pandemic. Businesses which reopened include hairdressing and beauty salons, and clothing shops are now allowed to operate with social distancing measures put in place.
This is to cater for the community in Bukit Bintang. So during the MCO, it's challenging that we are providing and studying the SOP that provided by the ministry. Now we are already in the stage of RMCO. Our staff are already trained and hands-on on the procedure during the MCO.
The government, however, has said that international borders will remain closed. Meanwhile, the United States says it will soon resume operations at its consulate in Wuhan, China. In January, the U.S. State Department had withdrawn consulate staff and their families from Wuhan as the city was put under lockdown to curb the spread of the virus.
And from the NCDC website, take responsibility by adhering to recommended measures. You can find the latest guide on their website. The centre continues to work with states training health workers to manage COVID-19 patients to recovery. Also, the World Health Organization has the latest updates on the global response to the COVID-19 strategy. You can indeed includes practical guidance for strategic action tailored to local context. Our website, channelcv.com, has more updates. You can find the latest on the pandemic in Nigeria, across the world, plus other stories.